Good morning, students. Welcome to the online class. Today we are going to discuss a new chapter, that is Colonialism, Rural and Tribal Societies, chapter number 10 in history. Students, in the previous chapter we have discussed about the British East India Company and many wars also fought between the British East India Company and the Indian kings and princes, and how the British East India Company win in every war, and how they conquered India from south to east and headed towards the north. Gradually they emerged as the supreme power in India, and gradually they also exploited the Indian economy, and they totally shattered the traditional self-sufficient rural economy. The economic exploitation of India by the British ruined the peasantry, uprooted the tribals, and destroyed Indian trade and handicrafts. Colonial Agrarian policy and its impact. How the Britishers also implemented many new systems and exploit the agrarian by agriculture, and how these systems also impacted on the Indian farmers, tribal people like this. Before the advent of the East India Company, the rural life in India was simple and self-sufficient. The Britishers brought many changes in the field of a land revenue system, agriculture, trade, industry, and administration for their own interest. The East India Company devised various methods to ensure the collection of revenue. They also adopted different methods to collect the revenue from the Indian territories and annexed and controlled by them. The British Empire extended, the amount of our revenue also increased, and the revenue was the biggest source of income for the company. The land revenue was the biggest source of income for the East India Company. And they also introduced many settlements to legitimize the practice of economic exploitation. Therefore, the Zamindari system under the permanent settlement was introduced in Bengal. The Zamindari system under the permanent settlement was introduced in Bengal in 1793 by Lord Cornwallis. Very important, you please remember also. Large parts of South and West India were put under the Ryotwari system, whereas Punjab, North-West Frontier Province, Awadh came under Mahalwari system. We will discuss one by one the Zamindari system, the Ryotwari system, and the Mahalwari system. Please, we will discuss now the Zamindari system. What is the Zamindari system? Yeah, the permanent revenue system. Zamindari system was made a hereditary right of Zamindars. Zamindar means landlords, means those persons who have having much more lands. Under the permanent settlement of the Zamindari Bandobast in 1793, it is one of the methods to collect the revenue from the Zamindars. They were made the owners of a land and were forced to pay 89% of the total revenue to the British government. Means the landlords, they have given the right to collect the revenue from an area. and they have given 89% of the land revenue to the British government, and the remaining 11% they also keep. Means they own only 11% and 89% of land revenue to give the British government by East India Company. The system gave birth to a new class of landlords consisting of the Rajas and Talukdars called the Jamindars, who had the power to evict any cultivator of the soil due to non-payment of revenue. Means the landlords, they also collected the revenue from the peasants, and 89% of the revenue they have given to the British East India Company, and 11% they will keep. And sometimes they also evict any cultivator, those who did not repay the revenue. As such, they used oppressive methods to collect the taxes. Sometimes the landlords also used the oppressive method to collect the taxes. Means they also harassed the peasants to collect the taxes. The peasants were compelled to take loans from the money lenders to pay unpaid rent. The peasants, sometimes they also compelled to take loans from the money lenders to pay unpaid rent, which made their life miserable. On the other hand, maximum benefit went to the Jamindars. Maximum benefit also went to the Jamindar. This is the Jamindari system under permanent revenue system, and it was introduced in Bengal by Lord Cornwallis in 1793. Then Ryotwari system. This system of land revenue was introduced in South India by Thomas Munro in 1820. Ryotwari system is one of the method to collect the revenue, and this method, this system was also introduced in the South India by Thomas Munro in 1820. Later it came into effect in the Bombay area also. This system established a direct settlement between the government and the Ryot. Ryot means the cultivator. Means there was a direct settlement between the government and the peasant, those who cultivate the land. The revenue was directly collected from the cultivator, and it was quite high. The revenue was directly collected from the peasant with a very high revenue. Then Mahalwari system. The Mahalwari system was a modified version of a Jamindari system. It was a modified version of a Jamindari system introduced by Holt Mackenzie. It was introduced by Holt Mackenzie. It was introduced in 1822. Please hear, Jamindari system 1793, Ryotwari system 1820, and Mahalwari system in 1822 in Gangetic Valley and Central India and Punjab. In this system, a collective settlement was made with a group of a village called Mahal. Means some village, a group of a village called Mahal. Since the land, the forest and the pasture belong to the village community, the villagers were jointly responsible for the payment of a land revenue. Means in this system, a collective settlement was made with a group of villagers called Mahal. Means a group of villagers, they also cultivate the area, the pasture land, the forest land and the cultivatable land, and paid the revenue to the government. And it was levied on the produce of a Mahal. The villagers were jointly responsible for the payment of a land revenue. The Mahalwari system proved to be a curse for the peasants. The Mahalwari system proved to be a curse, means abhisap, for the peasants in the form of a impoverishment, eviction from land and exploitation at the hand of the money lenders. The widespread resentment among the farmers of North India between 1830 to 1840 was one of the causes of the revolt of 1857. By the Mahalwari system, the peasants, they were also exploited by the money lenders, and For that cause, the peasants also became anger, and the last result of the anger of the peasants also is the cause of the revolt of 1857. 1857, the first war of independence, yeah, Sepoy Mutiny. This is the then growth of commercial crops. With strong foothold in South India, Bengal, Bihar and Orissa, the East India Company wanted to collect maximum taxes to meet their military and administrative expenses. The East India Company collect maximum taxes to meet their military and administrative expenses. They also wanted to gain maximum profit. Always the British East India Company wanted maximum profit. So the company started using different methods to procure goods which were in great demand in Europe. Means they compelled the farmers, our farmers, to cultivate the commercial crops which were great demand in the European countries. And the agricultural raw material was also purchased at very low rate. They also purchased the agricultural raw materials in low rate and sent to the England, and there they also prepare the finished goods and brought back these finished goods to our country and sell the finished good in a higher rate, so that they also get much more profit and benefit also. For that cause, they also compelled our farmers to cultivate the commercial crops. The commercial crops like the opium, indigo, sugar, cotton, jute, these are. The Britishers wanted to smuggle and sell opium to China so that they could earn huge profit. The Chinese people were also addicted to opium. Opium means opium. Opium means opium. The Chinese people were also addicted to the opium. For that cause, the Britishers compelled our farmers to cultivate opium, and they also sent the opium to China. And by selling the opium in China, they also earn huge profit. Similarly, indigo called Neil. Indigo, jo Neil we also use for the cloth, dyeing the cloths. Indigo called Neil in Hindi was a great demand in the textile industry of Britain. The peasants were forced to cultivate indigo plant to extract blue dye. The peasants were forced to cultivate indigo plants to extract blue dye. They led a miserable life as it fetched very low price of indigo. And the rising demand for sugar in the West attracted many Europeans to set up sugar plantation in India. Sugar, indigo, opium, and the cotton, jute, these are the commercial crops. The Britishers compelled our farmers to cultivate these crops. The rising demand for sugar in the Western countries attracted many Europeans to set up sugar plantation in India. The farmers who produced gur, jaggery for local requirement were now forced to produce thickened sugar juice for the sugar factories and sell their produce at very low price. The British industries flourished at the cost of Indian industries. The British industries flourished at the cost of Indian industries. And some common commercial crops and the places where they are cultivated. Please hear. Some commercial crops and the places where they cultivated. Commercial crops, opium. Opium also cultivated in Bengal, Bihar and Punjab. Indigo, Bihar and Bengal. Cotton, Gujarat, Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. Tea, Assam, West Bengal and South India. Pepper, Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andaman and Nicobar Island and Pondicherry, now Puducherry. Sugarcane, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, Punjab, Haryana. These are the states and these are the commercial crops where they also cultivated. The condition of farmers already suffering from natural calamities like flood, drought, famine. Indian farmers were further overburdened with high taxes. Always the Indian farmers also suffered a lot due to the natural calamities like flood, drought, famine, and along with the high taxes, repayment of loans, debt, and a high rate of interest. They were leading a life of misery, poverty, and frustration. Always the peasant class people, they were also leading a miserable life and suffering the poverty and frustration. As a result, many peasants who failed to pay the land revenue lost their land and became landless laborers. As a result, those peasants, those who did not give the tax or revenue, sometimes they also sold their land and became a landless laborer. They were forced to work at very low wages. Revolt by farmers. In many areas, the farmers also revolted against the high tax, and whenever atrocities means atyachar, repression and exploitation reached beyond a certain limit, there was a mass outburst in the form of a revolt and a rebellion. Whenever the atrocities, repression and exploitation reached beyond a certain limit, there was a mass outburst in the form of a revolt or rebellion. There was a long list of injustice. Always the people in our country, different section of people, they also suffered the injustice meted out to the farmers to various times during the British rule. Some of these were as follows: land revenue settlement and their administration. Land revenue settlements and their administration. Economic exploitation, especially of the rural masses. You see, every type of people also suffered the economic exploitation, but the rural masses. Long-standing loans and indebtedness. The small peasants, they also suffer the long-standing loans and indebtedness. Eviction of peasants from land lead them to become a landless laborers. See, some peasants, those who did not give the revenue in time, they also evict from their land and became a landless laborer. These causes resulted in a revolt, outbreak and rebellion even before the first war of independence. These are the main causes by the farmers to start the revolt of 1857, first war of independence. It was only 1930 the organization of Kisan Sabha started supporting the cause of peasants. Dear students, we have completed this part, and the next part we will discuss in the next class. Thank you. Have a good day.